Hello everyone, my name is Chloe and today I am here with a brand new video. Welcome to Brunette Bibliophile, where I post bookish videos and writing content. Today I am here to talk about all of the reading that I did during the month of April. It lasted like what, a blink? I blinked and April was done. So it didn't feel like I read a lot during the month of April, probably because it went so fast, but I actually ended up finishing 10 things. So we're going to talk about all of those in the course of this video, and a couple of them I actually wrote reviews for as well, so I'll make sure to mention that and link them all in the description below. Lots of library books too, so we're just going to jump right in. So the first book I completed during the month of April was Desperate Measures by Katie Roberts. This is the first book in the Wicked Villains series. This is genuinely Disney turned adult smut. So this first one follows Jasmine and Jafar, and I kind of equate it to like a mafia romance, turf war kind of thing. Guys, I loved it. I don't know what that says about me, but I loved it. And at first I was going to give it 4.5 stars, and then I'm like, Chloe, why are you not giving this 5 stars? And I gave it 5 stars. I am so excited to pick up the rest of the series. I want to buy the series. I just haven't yet. But I'm ready for it. Like, give me the rest of this series. It was so damn good. I don't really have anything else to say about it. It was just, I loved it. Next, I read A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. This is an adult fantasy that I got from Book of the Month. I got this because I was trying to branch out on my selections, and I regret getting this. Basically, this is about a character who left the island of Cadence. He went to the mainland to become a bard. He was attending university, and he's called back to the island, which is Cadence, because children have gone missing and he needs to help. I thought this was going to be something that it didn't end up being. I don't know how to explain that. I think it was, we were following a bunch of different characters. It was a bunch of different characters, but one narrator, and I feel like the audiobook maybe could have had a full cast to help with that. Now, the audiobook is not reflective of the actual work. I don't know. I ended up giving it 2 stars. I don't even know. It's been so long. It feels like it's been so long since I read it now that it's mostly left my brain. Next, I read Below Zero by Ali Hazelwood. This is the 3rd and final novella in the STEMinists novella series. I loved it. As I've talked about every single Ali Hazelwood book that I have ever read, I freaking loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This was one where the timeline you really have to pay attention to, because it does go back and forth a little bit, but I ended up loving it. I loved our main male character as well. He was such a sweet little cinnamon roll that I just loved him. And this one is also, I think part of it is set in Norway, or was it Antarctica? I know those are like 2 very different places. I want to say it was Norway. So there's also a little bit of a setting change that I loved. But I love this book. I love Ali Hazelwood, and I'm so excited for anything else that she puts out, ever. Next, I read Homicide and Hollow by Mia P. Manansala. This is the 2nd book in the Tita Rosie's Kitchen mystery series. And the first one, which was Arsenic and Adobo, I loved. This one I also really enjoyed. Probably not as much as the first one, but still really enjoyed it. I'm still very excited to see where this series goes, how long this series is going to be, things like that. I know the 3rd one is coming out later this year actually, and it's a Christmas themed one, so I'm very excited about that as well. And I'm really just excited to see how many different mysteries are going to be happening in this town of Shady Palms. I gave this one 4 stars. Next, I read Relent by Kat Heckenbach. This is a review that has been a long time coming. So Kat contacted me about reading her new book, which at the time this was a new book. It came out in 2017. I was honest in the email. I said, you know, you're more than welcome to send me an ebook copy, but I do not know when I'm going to get to it. At the time, I was in like my freshman or sophomore year of college, so my time was very unpredictable then. That being said, I did not think it would take me 5 years to get to this book. So I'd first like to say I am so sorry that it took me this long to get to this book and to reviewing it, but I have since read it and posted my review on Goodreads, and I'm about to tell you about it just right now. This is a paranormal book that is following a half-human, half-angel, and one day she is visited by a demon named Wraith. I went in with this book pretty blindly, and the first half intrigued me because I really wanted to see where this was going. The issue that I had with the first half was I felt like the pacing was off. I would have liked some of the scenes to be extended a bit. It would beef up the novel and the scenes themselves, and I definitely think it would add to the relationship prior to moving on to part 4, because this book is split into 4 parts. I feel like if there was more added to the relationship to kind of give it more context and extend on it a little bit and go further into it, it would have helped with part 4. Now the second half of the book did pick up a little bit, and without giving spoilers, I'm going to try and explain this. I was curious to see what happened between Wraith the demon and Simone, the main character, and why he was so adamant to stop her on her journey. Again, without spoilers, I think the true antagonist of this book was not very clear, but I would like to say that I think Simone's journey of self-discovery was done very well, and her story arc and how she came to her own realization was done nicely. Overall, I ended up giving it 3 stars. While it was interesting, it just ended up being okay for me. Next, I'm going to talk about The Willows Silence by Molly Linkovich. Molly contacted me about reading her latest poetry book that was coming out, and I do not read much poetry, so at the time I was still thinking on my star rating. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to rate it. I did still write a review, which I'll link in the description below. I'm just very unsure on a rating. I find that this book is very lyrical and almost fantasy / fairy tale-esque. I think that this poetry collection is for fans of very lyrical, romantic, gothic writing. And I think people that read a lot of poetry will enjoy this. And also the illustrations were very interesting. Let me show you my favorite. This was my favorite illustration in the book. It is obviously a take off of Beetlejuice and Lydia from the Beetlejuice movie. And I just really like this art. I think this one was my favorite one. Next, I read One Night on the Island by Josie Silver, another one that I had an e-arc of and wrote a review for, so check that out in the description below. I gave this 3.5 stars, and I have mixed feelings on it, honestly, and I'm slightly upset by that because I loved her debut novel, which was One Day in December, and honestly, I think that was her peak, because her other books have not fully gone downhill, but they haven't been the best. This book had romance, but not the typical romance that I would expect from a rom-com, and I ended up settling somewhere between it was okay and it was good, which is why I gave it 3.5 stars. Our main character, Cleo, is on a journey of self-actualization and self-discovery, and I think that was done really well. Without giving away spoilers, I loved how Cleo was in the last 100 to 150 pages of this book. The romance was just okay. I didn't really see it as a main focus in the book, just a part of the story, and it was just there. And by the end of the book, I think Cleo really found herself. I think if Josie Silver releases another book, I will give her one more chance, but at the moment, it doesn't look like she's going to be a priority author for me in the future. Next, I picked up the BookTube Chicks Book Club pick for the month of April, and that was Neon Gods by Katie Robert. For this book, we just had our live show, so I will link it in the description below if you want to check that out. You'll get my full feelings as well as Kathleen and Desirai's. Both of their channels are also linked in the description below as well. I also loved this book. This is the Greek gods modernized in their own world, own city, I guess. It is called the Dark Olympus series. I'm sure you know all about this book because you may have seen it on TikTok. It is very popular on Book Talk, and I am so glad I finally picked up this book. I don't even know what it was that just made me love this book so much, but I just had such a good time with it. The audiobook is not the best, I'll admit that. I did not like how it It had two narrators, but I did not like how the female narrator did the voice of Hades. But it's not about the audiobook, it's just about the book itself, and I loved it. I'm so excited to pick up the rest of the series. I know the second one is already out and the third one is coming out this month, and a fourth one has been announced, so I am very excited to check out the rest of this series. Next, I listened to A Brush with Love by Maisie Eddings, and I would like to thank the Libro FM ALC program for providing me with an audiobook copy of this book. I will also link my review in the description below, but I would just like to say that a dentist-themed rom-com was not on my radar until this. I went in with no expectations, but this ended up being super cute. I loved how awkward Dan was and how from the start he was smitten, and it was just so adorable. Our main character Harper has an anxiety disorder, and I think the representation was done really well. Even when I thought she was being unfair to Dan, I understood why. Overall, I have high expectations for this author and her future work. Her next book is following a character that we met in A Brush with Love, so I'm interested to see what she does in the future. This book wasn't a love it, have to reread it immediately kind of book for me, but I think it was still great and done really well, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else this author puts out. And the last book I completed was When You Get the Chance by Emma Lord. This is for the quarterly romance book club that is hosted by myself and Desirai from Libri Labra, and for the second quarter of the year, this was what we picked up. We actually just had our live show, so I'm going to link that in the description below. But this was a 4-star read for me. I thought it was good, but I'm not sure where I stand with Emma Lord books. I think she's going to be an author where I try her books from the library and see where it goes. I know she has 2 other books out. This is the first one that I have read fully, so we'll see. I know I definitely want to check out her other book, You Have a Match. I did pick it up at one point, but I ended up putting it down because it was not a good time for me to read it. But I'm interested. We will see. This is kind of like me dipping my toes in the water. But I gave this 4 stars. Make sure to check out the live show, linked in the description below. So that is everything that I read during the month of April. Let me know in the comments below if any of these are something that's been on your radar or something that you've read. Let me know your thoughts on them down in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. As always, if you like what you see here, please go ahead and click subscribe. I post new videos every week, so click subscribe so you can be updated for when I post those. And if you really like my content, consider checking out my Patreon, linked in the description below. Thank you all so much. I will see you all in my next video. Bye! In the darkness, I don't feel so cold. The ashes fall like rain, and somehow we're okay. A story drifts between shadows and smoke.